Jamming along to the music.
Happy Devil's Sunday. Welcome back to the Let's Go Devils podcast. This is season 3, episode 2. Are the Devils for real? Are they for real? I think so, but we'll get to that a little bit later. I am your host, Sam Wu, here with Beer Baron, as Shorts Guy is on assignment because I know he's doing some scouting, doing some stuff for the podcast right now as we speak. I'm just trying to cover for him.
He's not sitting in a parking lot picking his nose, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. And big podcast tonight. We have the infamous special guest, Kevin Clark, the Devils PA announcer, because, we want to ask Kevin, are the Devils for real? I mean, I know it's preseason, but he got a first-hand look at Jack Hughes, Nikita Gusev, the other night, Taylor Hall. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Taylor Hall and Jack Hughes. And, it's absolutely an exciting time to be a New Jersey Devils fan. October 4th is coming up soon. I think it's going to be a fun season, Beer Baron. I think it's going to be a real interesting, fun season after the season we had last year. And then fast forward to the draft lottery and getting that number 1 pick. I mean, we were just ecstatic to drafting Jack Hughes, which changed the entire dynamics and mindset to winning for the New Jersey Devils. And then the dominoes have fell. And then, this past weekend, Devils Rangers, Devils Islanders, the Devils look pretty good. And again, I don't want to get too excited, but it is kind of exciting to see all these new faces, new talent, to the point where the roster, Beer Baron, looks to be, there's only a handful of spots. I mean, Mikey McLeod, and I gotta
talk about Mikey McLeod. Don't worry about that. We'll get into Mikey McLeod and his fantastic camp so far. But I just want to just kind of springboard off of what you were just saying about being excited or too excited. If you're not excited about what you've been seeing in the preseason so far, you need to get your head checked by a reliable doctor, because it is crazy to look at all the little pieces that Ray Shero has put together and not get excited about this. It's crazy to look at Hughes and Hall playing together the other night and not get excited about that. It's crazy to see, Wayne Simmons sticking up for his teammates and just kind of playing a physical and gritty game in a preseason game and not get excited about that. The play from Blackwood, the play from Schneider, across the board, Nikita Gusev, across the board, everything that has happened in the preseason is starting to come to fruition, and you can only hope that this translates into the season. Yes, you don't want to get too excited because you want to keep your mind in check. And, we saw what happened last year when we got excited after 4 games and then the season kind of just fell apart. But honestly, it's okay to be excited right now. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to get a satisfaction out of beating the Rangers twice, preseason or not preseason. This team's got a lot of really, really fun things to watch. And also, everybody on Facebook Live, chime in. You know what I mean? Like, Shorts Guy not being here tonight, you guys ask some questions. Sometimes we can fill up the air a little bit more too. When it's easier when him and I are here together, because poor producer Sam has a ton of things to do. So if anybody has questions, or if you want to talk or you want to comment, like, we said it last week, what are the things that you're most excited for? And now that we've had a couple games under our belt, now what are you excited for? I mean, it just, the personalities on this team, bringing in Subban, if you're not jacked up about how this team looks and the vibe and just the overall sense of what this team is about right now, then you maybe you're not playing with a full deck of cards. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I just got to let you know that YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Twitter Periscope right now is humming with people filing in. I mean, I'm sure a lot of Devils fans or Giants fans are excited, and I'm thinking,
Oh
hey,
yes,
we're gonna capture a captive, happy audience tonight after what had
right.
happened in Tampa, that victory. But we're sticking to hockey though. But it's great to see everybody filing in on the YouTube Live. Halsey Hockey. Sam is the OG. Oh, is that a compliment? Because YouTube Live usually hates me, so I'm not. I'm not sure, Beer Baron. But Facebook Live loves me, so welcome Facebook
Hey,
Live.
that
Anna,
Matt's got a great point about Carrick has looked really nice this preseason. That's one of the things that's going to be interesting because Ty Smith has had a couple of struggles, but you got to think that he's kind of putting too much pressure on himself. So I think he'll be fine. I think he'll level out. Connor Carrick, it's just there's so many good things that are going on with the team. You know, we've gone into preseasons where you're like, geez, you know, if you ever remember the movie Major League, and there's a couple of lines in the very beginning when they're like, who are these, you know, blanking guys? There was a couple of years where it felt like that. You would see names and you're like, what? Who's number 72? Like, what the hell's going on here? But now there's a lot, there's a lot of hope, and there's a lot of like, man, all right, like you said before, there's going to be maybe, you know, a handful of spots open up, and who's going to have the drive to get those last couple spots. And you got to think that this is going to push the veterans a little bit more too, because then you're going to get a guy that's, you know, Kyle Palmieri, who's, you would think on an automatic lock for that top line. Well, you got some of these young cats coming in. Maybe they start outplaying him. They start taking his minutes. So hopefully, you know, this is all in the positive. This is all in the good. This is all in the good vibes.
well,
And
you know what? If this all pans out, what we're seeing right now in preseason, you talk about taking minutes from Kyle Palmieri. I know Kyle Palmieri probably would hate me saying this, but it's an 82 game season. And if you got depth where you let the grinders grind and do the dirty work, let the fourth line play 120% energy with their talent and speed and skill, because they know that if they don't show up that night, they're going to be back down to Binghamton, right? And you know, just again, it's like they seem to be a well balanced team. Now, granted, there's still a lot of work to be done. I mean, it is still preseason, but what do you think about their defense right now?
defensively, go ahead.
Yeah, I still think it's a work in progress, but man, is it exciting to see PK Subban's energy, you know, on the ice. And we're only talking about preseason. And, you know, it's also nice to see, you know, Vatanen out there and Will Butcher. And, you know, and I think Butcher is poised to have a good season, you know, amongst,
Especially,
yeah, exactly. So, you know, I'm still, you know, looking at Severson to put up some numbers. But yeah, it looks really good right now. But what do you think about the Goose chance when Gusev scored? I mean, that got me
oh, of
excited.
course. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's funny to go back to what you said about the defense. I think the defense is, yeah, it needs it could definitely use an upgrade here or there. It's all going to depend on how much weight they put on Subban's shoulders, because you're gonna think he's going to take a lot of those top minutes away. Ty Smith's development, Connor Carrick, is he going to be taking that next step? There's a lot of little pieces about this defense that could show what they are in the first, I don't know, month and a half of the season. You want them to be dependable. You want them to chip in offensively, and you don't want them to be a liability. And the other thing too is you really want to start to look at the play of Blackwood and Schneider. And we kind of had a conversation about this last week about, it all kind of ends there, and that's kind of obvious, right? So your goaltender has to be one of the best, one of the best players on your team. And if both of them can push each other for either playing times or whatever, for minutes, then that means their plays, they're exceeding what their expectations are. I don't know. I'm losing my train of thought, and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But honestly, it's one of those things where if Schneider plays well, if Blackwood plays well, if the defense is serviceable, I think we have enough offensive firepower to cover up some defensive mistakes. We have some firepower to, if we're giving up 2-3 goals, I don't think it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, and again,
Eric
says
Mueller. Oof.
Well, it goes without saying. It goes without saying. This team obviously has depth, and the young kids are maturing. Not everybody can be like Jack Hughes, where you can just step in, score goals, hot dogging it, and winning.
Talking about E-ways.
Yeah, but I'm really seriously, Beer Man, I'm really cheering for Mikey McLeod right now, and I'm cheering for Pavel Zacha.
About damn time,
because Pavel Zacha, sometimes it just takes some time for these kids to develop. I mean, they were thrown in, and they, for Pavel Zacha going from Europe, to a foreign country, and trying to break the lineup. I mean, that takes time, and I'm starting to see maturity. Now that they have some experience with all those prospect development camps and tournaments and this and that. They're starting to mature, and you're going to see that depth come handy in the second half of the year. Because one of the biggest concerns I had last season was and the season before was, does John Hines grind these guys down where they're just, they're out of gas by like mid-season? And, but when you have depth and you're shortening shifts and you're giving, you're spreading out minutes where it's not so, Taylor Hall top line heavy. Right now, as far as I'm concerned, I think they have a line 1A and 1B right now. I mean, you've got the North American line with Hughes, Taylor Hall, potentially, together with Palmieri. Second line, you got the Hischier, Gusev. Do you put Bratt, Boquist in there, or do you put Wayne Simmons? I mean, he's not European, but what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I see what you're getting at. And I mean, just to kind of look at some of the comments on Facebook Live. First of all, what's up, Tim, Michael, Matt, Eric, all these guys. So Michael said it definitely takes some guys to mature and develop their game, and that's 100% true. And like you said about Butcher, I feel like Butcher is going to have. Last year he had kind of like that sophomore slump. I think this year he's going to come out a lot stronger. And Matt said he was at the game last night, and Schneider looked amazing. He was moving side to side very smoothly and stretching out far. Eric brings up the greatest point, though. Miles Wood, who I'm a huge fan of, could possibly be one of those odd men out. And this is going to open up kind of a Pandora's box. I'm kind of interested to ask Kevin what his projected lineups are going to be, or what he feels like the projected lineup is going to be for that starting night roster, because of all this competition that's going on in camp. Romana said you put Bratt on that second line, which I agree with. Especially Bratt's put on some weight. Dude looks a little bit quicker, stronger. But I mean, if Miles Wood doesn't make this roster because he's pushed out because of a Boquist, does that make Miles Wood expendable? Do you try to, put him into a package and send him somewhere? Look at Toronto. Toronto is completely strapped. I don't know what to tell you. Know, it's tough. It's tough. There's going to
Well,
be
I
some
have
hard decisions coming up in the next couple, week or two.
I have some opinions on that, and this is where I go back to depth. Right, it's a long season, and you know, given Miles Wood is making some pretty decent money right now, and I don't think it's something where I think it may be a situation where okay, he didn't have the an exciting and major great leap forward in preseason, but you have to play him. I mean, you have to play him.
Yeah.
Despite all the talent right now, but do you trade him? Do you do this? That I think that's way too early to be thinking about it.
Mm.
Because just remember one thing: it's a long season. Guys get hurt. They get hurt all the time, and some of them get nagging injuries where they need a week off just to recover a game or two. And that's where that
Mhm.
depth comes in, where the gas pedal is always down. You're not letting up because you've got so much depth. It's like two guys go down to injury. Guess what? Get the next two in.
Yeah, but you
You know,
have to have the right kind of guys with the right kind of mentality and the right kind of fortitude to be able to withstand that. Because if you have a dude that is bitter and pissed off because he gets sent down or he's not getting uh, you know starting minutes, then that could be an issue too.
well,
Let me
you know what
stand on
I
my
think.
soap. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that why don't you ask Facebook Live, because I got to get Kevin on right now. That's
Yeah,
my
sure,
cue.
sure, sure.
All right.
That is your cue as I step up onto the soapbox.
Yep.
One of the biggest issues that the Devils are going to have is if they have to either take Miles Wood and send him down to the minors, or they have to figure out what they're going to do with him and he's up in the press box and not getting those starting minutes. Is he going to be able to keep a positive attitude about this? Is he going to see the bigger picture about this? And that's not just Miles Wood. I guess that's anybody that has to go up and sit up in the press box for any extended period, amount of time, or anybody that gets sent down to the minors that isn't a kind of bounce back and forth type of guy. Um, it is a long grind. I agree with Tim. Hockey is a long grind. Look at he says, look how Hall was out for the second half. 100%. Things change in the flip of it, in the flip of a coin. So sometimes there's something that could happen, an injury, somebody goes down, and then you're lucky and you're hopeful that you have somebody who's waiting in the wings that's chomping at the bit to get back into the game. They did do it to Zaka last year, and sometimes that's another thing too. Is Hines is the type of coach now that he does like to send a message. So if you're not performing or if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're going to be putting on a suit and going and sitting up in the luxury box watching the team play while somebody else jumps in and takes your spot. This could all be a really good thing though, because this could be one of those things where it's like you got guys that are fighting for position, you got guys that are fighting for a roster spot, and this only breeds competition. So let me ask you guys out on Facebook Live, and unfortunately it's only Facebook Live that I can read right now because I only have one way of reading it. But all my friends out on Facebook Live, what is your opinion? Who do you think is the odd man out? Who do you think is the one that's going to take it, the last couple of roster spots? And if we can't get to you right now, we'll get back to this question after we talk to Kevin. Sorry, I went on a rant. I'm off my box now.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just setting up Kevin on the board right now. But
No, that's all
yeah,
right. Denny says Hayden. I don't know. Hayden's like one of those. He could be one of those guys that could possibly sit in the press box, and then when we play like a Philadelphia and we need a good physical presence, we call him down from the press box. Like, all right, here, get your minutes, get your game time going, and he could go out there, skate alongside Wayne Simmons and wreak havoc.
yeah.
Anyways.
Well, let's introduce our next guest. You have heard him before. If you've ever gone to the Prudential Center watching a Devils game, he's the guy that's making those awesome announcements of these New Jersey Devils players scoring on the Bobby's Auto Care hotline. We have Kevin Clark, the New Jersey Devils PA announcer. Kevin, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing? Good evening.
You're doing great, Kevin. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, you guys, I love it. You know that. Anytime.
So, Kevin, I have to ask you before we get into any of the nitty gritty of who we think is going to make it. What are your predictions for the opening night roster? How nice is it to say Jack Hughes?
Well, yeah, it's so funny because I've talked to a couple people about that, and I kind of have tried to push the envelope a couple times already with the length of his name when I say it. And I tell people, like, you haven't heard anything yet. I could go into the next game, trail name out the air. But no, it's a fun name, and as I had it out on social media the other day. I mean, everybody, not everybody, but people who know me and followed me on social media know that my favorite name of all time was Dinah Zubris.
Yep.
Well,
I was about to say that.
Favorite name, and it's Jack Hughes. I'm going to have fun with that name and hopefully be saying it a lot.
Yeah, and it's great too because I can imagine there's a couple of names that are going to be on there that are going to be fun to say. Gusev, Subban, and hopefully there are going to be a lot of names that you're going to be calling this year.
Well, that was the nice thing when, selfishly, when I follow the trades and the draft and movements within the roster, I try to follow along and say, well, okay, well, that's a good name, or that's not the best name, but I got lucky this year. And I said earlier that it was like Christmas for me, this summer, because we had so many great names. Subban, you got what the names you said. They're all fun names to say, and I can drag them out and just have a lot of fun with them. So that's me being selfish, and I hope I'm saying all of them a lot, and not just for penalty calls, but for we're yelling them out. And Pete Canarozzi is following me up with the Oregon, and we're just and don't forget the Woos.
That's right.
Hey, Kevin, you know what? I'm gonna do something this year. I'm gonna bring a stopwatch to the game and see how long you can drag out Hughes and Gusev when you announce their names and see if.
Well, I think you just set a challenge in front of me.
Yes.
For that. And let's follow that along for the season. I think I would get to the point with some of those names where my bosses would be like, okay, Kevin, you might want to dial that down a little, but yeah, we'll see what we can do. I have fun with that stuff, and I've mentioned, I think, on the podcast before, we had a player when I was announcing the ECHL games in Atlantic City. His name was Luke Curtin, and Luke is a great name to announce, and I used to drag that out forever. So I enjoy that. It's one of the fun things I get to do, and with these new guys, it's gonna be fun, and let's hope I'm saying them loud and long for quite a few times this season.
So, being that you've had an up close and personal view of what the Devils have been doing over the this preseason. Getting to see some of these guys skate in person. What are your first impressions of Jack Hughes? We'll start there.
Well, okay, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer here, but I have to put a disclaimer out on this. Got to remember who they're playing against and who they've played, and I think you got to temper a little bit of the enthusiasm for what's gone on, just because of we haven't seen anybody's A lineup yet. In particular, Boston was like the Providence Bruins. But what I've seen of him with Jack Hughes has been very impressive. I mean, he is so quick to make a decision. That's the first impression I got. When he has the puck, he's made up. It's almost like when he gets the puck, he's made up his mind what he's going to do with it. Really impressive. And as a matter of fact, there was a couple of instances. The Ranger game. I'm sorry, they're starting to blend already. But the Ranger game, when him and Taylor Hall had a couple of plays where one in particular where Hughes passed it to Hall and he blistered a shot, and it it happened so fast you couldn't even blink. You didn't even see it. And I'm sitting down there, and this never happens, by the way. We looked at each other, myself and the off-ice officials. We looked at each other like, "Wow!" And that never happened in my 13 years, where we were all that impressed with the goings on on the Devils, with just the talent and skill and quickness. It was very impressive. So my first impressions of him are, as long as he can figure out how to work in space, he is a great decision maker, and am very impressed with that so far.
Kevin, I want to go back to the goal that Jack Hughes scored one-on-one with Lundqvist the other night. That speed is very Connor McDavid-esque, where he was so fast. It's like you look at his skates, you look at his legs. He's not even making any major strides, to the point where he's that fast and he didn't even put on the afterburners and just went right to the net with the puck, the wide open like that. I mean, you've seen a lot of these games. You've announced. I mean, have you seen any Devils player in recent memory, aside from Taylor Hall, that has that type of speed, where it's like it's so effortless and so smooth, and he didn't even kick it up in another gear?
Well, let me just say this. First of all, anybody who scores on Lundqvist, I'm very happy for and happy with. You can't score enough on that guy. I think we've discussed that before here. Not a fan. Yeah, and unfortunately, with my job, I can't watch the game 100% of the time because I'm prepping for the next thing that we're going to be doing, whether it's a timeout or intermission. But I think the word you used, effortless, is a good word. And I think that's what I've seen with his entire game so far. He doesn't seem to have to rush. There's no panic. There's no hot potato with the puck, if you can follow along with that one. But he doesn't panic. And I liked on the breakaway and on the goal, he was so confident with the puck, and his hands are so good that it was just, it's fun to watch, isn't it? Isn't it fun to watch him and Gusev? I mean, they're just so fun to, it's like getting a new toy, and you just start with it, and you're seeing what it can do, and you're like, it's even better than you thought it was going to be, and I'm really hoping all of that continues as we roll into the regular season.
So, Kevin, so far, besides Gusev, besides Hughes and Subban, who has been the player that has surprised you most? I know there's a lot of people that are talking about Mikey McLeod, because Mikey McLeod is all sorts of awesome. But who is the one player that you feel has really impressed you the most so far this preseason?
Okay, I'm going to comment on three players here. One, PK Subban. The energy he brings is really, really fun, and I think you guys, even at a preseason game, he just kicks things up a notch energy-wise with the team. I really enjoy that. Wayne Simmons, the other night against New York, against the Rangers. He was an agitated individual, and he's another one that has brought a new edge to the team, and I'm really enjoying that. Now, the person that has really impressed me, if I'm answering your question correctly, Corey Schneider, last night and when he's played, has just looked even better than the old Corey Schneider. Can I say that? I don't know if that's accurate. But, he's looked in control, square. He's square to the puck. He's not scrambling. He's not diving. He's going post to post really quickly. He seems to be anticipating the play well. He's not giving up deep rebounds. Man, I tell you what, if he can continue doing what he's doing, look out. I mean, it's really going to be a fun ride.
That's great. And that's one of the things you, as a fan, want to hear especially the struggles that Corey has had the last couple of years, and you know, by all accounts, he seems to be the nicest man in the world, and it's so bad when you see guys like that, catch so much heat for their play on the ice, and off the ice they're the greatest guys in the world. I hope for him, for this team, for all the naysayers, that he goes out and has an absolutely stunning year. And to be honest with you, he's got Mackenzie Blackwood right behind him. So if anything does happen, or if he takes a step backwards, it looks like Mackenzie Blackwood picked up right where he left off last year.
Well, getting to Corey, he is a really good guy, and I don't know how you can't root for him. He was a stand-up guy when he was in the dregs. He answered all the questions. He never, he never pointed fingers. He accepted the blame and stood tall. And now he's, so far, had a nice little bounce back. And you have to root for that. The guy's really busted his butt. He's a great teammate, and anything positive that can happen for him, he's earned and deserved. And just another reason to root for him. Never mind, we want to win hockey games here, but just as an individual, you really want to see him do well. And, fingers crossed, we keep seeing the rest of the season what we saw last night, because he was the reason they won. Let's be honest. He stood tall and did what he had to do. That's what a goaltender has to do. And I've said this before. You're going to have nights during the season where your team does not play well. Your forwards don't play well, or your defense. There's got to be some games in there where your goaltender steals a win, and it's got to be a few. And that was, albeit an exhibition game or a preseason game, he did that last night. And so, hopefully we'll get a few more of those again as we roll into the season. And Mackenzie Blackwood, you don't know what you're going to get with him, right? And actually the same with Corey at this point. But he was impressive last year. And I think, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but he had that one game against Calgary where he gave up 9 goals. But if you take that game out of his statistics, they're very impressive. And hopefully he'll just carry over into this year. He looked good the other night. And again, let's call it what it is. A lot of this depends. The season depends on the goaltending. We could have a great lineup, get a lot of offense, but if we're not going to get the goaltending, it's going to be a struggle. So, so far so good, and but when they start playing in anger, the funny thing is I've been looking forward to the start of the season for so long, and I just keep thinking to myself, after the first period of that first game, I think we're going to know a lot. Not everything. We're not going to know everything, but I think we're going to know a lot of what we have, and I'm looking forward to that.
Now, I know John Hines was saying that he would like to have his last 2 preseason games be a reflection of the opening day lineup, meaning that he wants to get it whittled down close enough to where he has his actual lineup so he can tinker with it and, throw in some different looks and try different plays and do all sorts of different things. Who do you think is going to be the odd man out, just kind of, off the top of your head? And who do you think might be the surprise in? Because I know a lot of people are counting Jesper Boquist in,
right,
because he was that?
It is Jesper. Both of Brad and Boquist are Jespers, hard J's.
Ah, see, Sam, it is Jesper. It isn't Jesper.
No, no. Matt Lachlan explained on the live feed yesterday that it was Jesper, and then I actually Googled it in the NHL abbreviation, and it said yes, YES, and then PURR, like a cat purring. That's what I got.
I will look into that, but as far as I've been told, it is Jesper. So, but I appreciate it. I will look into that.
Yeah, we're not saying you're wrong. I'm just based on on Google, so you know how reliable that could be.
I don't trust Google, so I appreciate that. I will look into it. The main thing here is to get it right, and I go to Matt all the time for pronunciations, and especially in preseason, and he's usually spot on. So, well, I will do some investigation. I appreciate it. Your question, man, I tell you what, it's tough to know who they're going to set at the end of the roster, just because I keep thinking back to a couple of years ago when Brian Gibbons and Blake Coleman made the roster, and we were all like, what? And that worked out pretty well. So it's really, I really don't know, what John Hines has in mind. I tell you, I will say this, though. It is nice to have the problem of having so much competition that you don't know who's going to make the roster. That's a real good, pleasant surprise. And but again, it gets down to if there's a question on who's going to make it, who can be sent down without waivers, or who has to clear waivers. Those things always factor into it. And I really I think Boquist is going to make the team. I don't see how another year in Sweden would really help him. I think the only question for him would be his defensive, responsibilities, and I haven't really heard anybody complain about what he's done on the defensive end. So I think we've been impressed with what he's done offensively, especially last night. So I do see him making the roster. I think where you get into the questions are guys like John Hayden, and as much as I hate to say this, and I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but what's Miles Wood? What are we going to do with him? He brings a lot of energy, and his quickness has always helped the team in the past, and he was a force. He was also a guy that brought some edge. So we've got a couple guys now who kind of fit that role. Maybe not his quickness, because I don't see anybody being as quick as him right now. But I think, again, decisions are obviously going to have to be made, and I'm really glad I don't have to make them.
It's really funny that you say that about Miles Wood, because we were just having that same exact discussion right before you came on. And it's almost like it's a good position for the Devils to be in, where you have to make these decisions, and you hopefully you get the best out of players, because you have guys that are, they're I just signed this new contract and they should be comfortable about it, and maybe they got complacent, and now maybe that's going to push them a little bit harder and see what they got. So I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be exciting, and I can't wait. We're going to be there October 4th. I can't wait to hear you call out everybody's name in their introduction. I can't thank you enough for coming on. It's always a pleasure to have you on and to have you talk to us. And for those people that don't understand, Kevin is just as big as a Devils fan as all of us. So that makes it even more of a pleasure and more exciting.
Well, as I said in the past, nobody's madder when the opposition scores, and nobody's happier, when the good guys score. And I appreciate it. And funny thing is, I was sitting there last night during the game, and I'm going, and Arlette was singing the anthem, and I'm like, you know what? Next time we do this, it's going to be for real. So I'm looking forward to it. I know opening night always has that energy and that excitement, the electricity in the air, the anticipation, use whatever word you'd like. But I think this year, this opening night is going to be a little bit extra. I think we've all been excited since June, and it's all building up. Again, I equate it to Christmas morning. It's like Christmas is getting here, and we can't wait to open our present to see just exactly how good our gift is.
Kevin, one last thing before we let you go. We will be actually across the street at PJ Ryan's October 4th around 5 o'clock. We're going to do a pregame podcast before we go in on the 4th. And also October 5th, we are actually going to be in the Grasshopper in Morristown for a viewing party. And also we brought our two buddies, Grant Marshall and Bruce Driver, to come along. So you're more than welcome to come see us on the 4th and 5th. There's always going to be a mic and a headset for you if you ever want to come on.
Well, I appreciate that. The 4th may be tough. I got a lot going on, which is one of my favorite phrases. And anybody I work with at the Devils would know that I got a lot going on down here. But yeah, I get the 4th may be tough. We'll look into the 5th, and that's always fun. I enjoy that stuff, and I appreciate the offer. And I love getting on here and talking. Nobody likes to talk Devils hockey more than me. Well, maybe Chico. I don't know. I love talking Devils hockey, and I am a fan, as you just said, and it is a passion. And I always appreciate you guys having me on.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Kevin, and we'll catch you on the 4th. That is Kevin Clark of the New Jersey Devils, the PA announcer on the Bobby's Auto Care hotline. Bobby's Auto Care, 2151 Route 57 in beautiful downtown in Washington, New Jersey, in the heart of Warren County, out in the boonies. Go to Bobby's Auto Care. Tell them that Sam Wu sent you. You get $10 off your first bill. I loved Kevin Clark's honesty, his candidness, and when I asked him that question about that Jack Hughes goal, and he's like, well, you know what, Sam, I'm preparing for that. I'm doing things behind the scenes. Sometimes I don't catch things, and of course the angle he's got may be tough as well, and you kind of forget these things. But overall, he just, because he's right there, he's feeling the energy. He's seeing the players. He can feel the love going on. He can feel the positivity right now, because it is an exciting time in Devils history. And that's why we're doing back-to-back live on location podcast, to seize the moment, to celebrate with you fans, because and this is where the plugging comes in. Again, PJ Ryan's live pregame podcast starting at 5 p.m. On October 4th. This is the start of the new We Are the Fun tour. Will be on the second level upstairs bar. I've actually gotten several private messages, emails, people asking questions. Could I come? And you know what? The other thing too, and let me just also do the October 5th event in Morristown. Again, it continues the next day. The We Are the Fun tour. Grasshopper off the green in beautiful Morristown, New Jersey, right off the green. We're bringing Bruce Driver and Grant Marshall, and I know they're fired up for that event. And we have DJ Shelley doing the music and keeping it entertained, this and that. So we've never had that before, so that's going to be fun. But getting back to this season, it's going to be a fun season. It should be very interesting. Beer Baron.
Well, I want to talk to a few of our friends over here in the Facebook group.
Okay.
So Pete wants to know if we're going to have any drink specials at PJ's, and that's a really good question. We might have to talk to them about
that. No, I already did talk about them.
Oh,
some of the names that they're popping up, I'm like, whoa, those people? And they're like, oh yeah, you just tell us what you want. So I gave them a list. I was like, hit these people, hit these people, hit these people, and hit these people, and hit these people. So we're working at PJ's, and we're working it at Grasshopper off the green, because that's what we do. But you know what? There's one thing that I want to say. I've actually had quite a few people ask me this question. How much are tickets to see your podcast? And I was like,
that's a great question.
I was like, are you kidding me?
We don't charge, son.
We don't charge. We don't believe in it.
I mean, you get to hang out with us for free.
I know.
It's like getting to watch this. As long as you have a Facebook membership or any kind of YouTube or whatever, it's free.
And then somebody asked me,
a part of the people.
We are the fun. And somebody asked me, do you charge tickets? And then they're asked, well, how much are pucks if I wanted Bruce to sign it? I'm like, no, it's sponsor driven. We don't charge. We don't believe in that. And again, this is not, putting down other companies that do that, because again,
you
that's just a different
model.
You gotta do what you gotta do. But for us, we want to make it fun. Now, if you want to support the podcast and buy our t-shirts, because we got some wild t-shirts.
We have lavish taste.
Yeah,
we have lavish taste. We have wild t-shirts coming out. Shorts guy's been hard at press. You want to know where he is tonight? That man is in a hot studio somewhere, grinding away, making t-shirts, getting ready for the season.
Yep. We sent him to the sweatshop. We got a Let's Go Devils podcast sweatshop. And
Shorts it's just one guy.
Yeah, it's just Shorts guy. And, and also we want to make sure that, none of the products that we're making, there's no children involved, child labor. It's all made in beautiful New Jersey and made by Shorts guy. Our T-shirts. And, part of the thing, with this podcast is, hey, you support the podcast, we get to invest in different things. And one of the things that we want to invest in is this $35 million jet. Let's Go Devils podcast jet. Why? Yeah. Because if we ever reach that point, we get to take you, the fans, on the road to watch our Devils. And what better way is to do it with a $35 million jet? So we have to sell, 1.75 million t-shirts in order to hit that goal. But anyway, that's our shtick. And,
so let's get back to our friends over on the Facebook. First of all, Michael Bradley, it's very nice to have you along with us. He said it's his first time listening. Thank you very much. He said, great job, boys. We answered Pete's question. Tim, he said you better have drink specials, and Tim, we're going to try and take care of that. Nate Holland says the 4th is my 21st birthday. I'm going to be in Newark for the weekend. You better be showing up to the bar, Nate. That's what I'm saying. If you show up to the bar, maybe one of us, Sam, will buy you a beer. Tim said, we don't charge. Let's see. Robert asked us a question. Now, the Devils are going to be a dangerous team this season, he says. The potential is there. What do you guys think is missing or needed from this current roster to take the next step or to push them over the top? To be 100% honest with you, I think shoring up the defense is probably the number one concern. Offensively, on paper, because it's always on paper, right? On paper, I think offensively they have enough firepower. The power play offensively looks great. The PK, if it picks up where it left off last year, I think we'll be all right. But defensively, I think that's where, even with the addition of PK Subban, even with Ty Smith, but Ty Smith has to show that he could take that next step. So if he could take that next step, that's what it's going to be. If this defense can shore itself up, you can get some guys that are going to be willing to lay their lives on the line and block some shots, really help out Corey or McKenzie. Honestly, I feel like the sky's the limit for this team. I feel like this is going to be one of those teams that's going to have a chip on their shoulder. They're not going to be like Tampa Bay, where they're going to walk in with the stride of like, oh, we are the best in the league. They don't have the, John Tavares type of top line where you have 4 or 5 guys that are, in the top 5 of scoring. What you have is you have a lot of young talent. You have a lot of potential, and I think you nailed it with that word, potential. Let's see. I'm going to just go back to this.
I would like to add to that as well about the defense. If they can shore up the defense and protect the goalie, what I'm more interested in with the amount of firepower and talent on offense with these forwards is that transition, that turnover in the neutral zone, or that, and pushing that puck up the ice after a great defensive play, and then the goalie has to face Jack Hughes and Taylor Hall coming the other way. That could be a game changer right there.
But that's the thing too, is like offensively, Hughes has all the. It's like when you go into a kitchen, right? You can go into the kitchen with the best steak in the world, with all the greatest ingredients, and if you don't know how to cook it, if you don't know how to play defensively, and if you don't know how to cover up your mistakes, or if you don't know how to get back on the puck, if you don't know how to if you become a liability and all you want to do is make highlight reel goals and assists, then what the hell good are you? What the hell good is the greatest Kobe steak if you can't cook it correctly? You know what I mean? Like it's not going to make a world of difference. I think Hines is a perfect coach for this team, even though everybody thinks, oh, he's got a losing record and blah, 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 blah. Look at what he had to deal with. There's a reason Ray Shero is sticking with him. I think Hines has the team's attention. I think he has the team's respect. And I think he's going to be the guy that is going to be able to get the team into the right direction that they need to be. And I think he's going to let them have some fun too. Do you know what I mean? Like, let PK be PK, have a good game, but also show that swag out there. This team, I feel like this is a different vibe, man. As a Devils fan, we have never experienced a team like this with this kind of swagger, with this kind of like moxie to it. You know what I mean? I hope they pick Hip Hop Ray as the goal song. I know, like, the people, I'm serious. I know people are like, oh, well, Howell's fine and whatever, and Gaslight's from New Jersey. Yeah, so, like, listen, let this team have some swag. Let this team walk in with a little bit of like that old saying, a little bit of a swinging D, if you know what I mean. I'm not talking about the defense. But give them that kind of leeway, but at the same time, keep them responsible. Keep them responsible for what they need to do on the ice. There's some great leadership, and I feel like the potential of this team is absolutely incredible of where they can go. If it all gels together, sky's the limit, baby.
I know. And, just to further John Hines, I'll admit, sometimes I'm not a big fan of his, but there's one big fact. I have yet to hear anything negative about John Hines in the locker room. So, some of the, players talking about him. He's obviously got everyone's respect, especially when with all that losing in the beginning, and then obviously they had that one good year where they made the playoffs. Usually teams get frustrated and they start throwing the coach under the bus. I don't hear anything of that nature. I'm actually shocked. Like, I'm a Mets fan, right? The guy is a manager for a couple seasons, right? Now the season's about to close. My goodness, like, everybody wants to kill, all the fans want to kill the coach, the manager, but you don't hear the players talk bad about him, and he still has a job there, So, it takes time to build a championship team, and the Devils did not really cut corners. And, they got lucky with the 2 first overall picks, but you know what? So be it, and they're looking very, very, very good right now. But as what Kevin says, got to caution, it's still preseason, and some of the teams that they did play were really AHL teams. But look, you got to execute that though. You got to win.
Agreed, and I agree with Kevin saying, and I don't dismiss it, and I agree that you have to be. Glass half full, half empty, blah, blah, blah. But the upside to that, the glass half full side of that, is they've been winning these games and the team hasn't been put together as a whole. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, they've looked good and they're still not all put together because they've been splitting them apart. They've been keeping Hischier and Gusev on like one side, and they've been keeping Hall and Hughes on the other side. Wait until all that comes together. The offensive powerhouse that this team could become. And I know that sounds like absurd because you're like, as a Devils fan, I don't think, you could sit back and be like, well, when was the last time we saw somebody score over 40 goals? Do you know what I mean? So you might have the potential of having some breakout seasons. You might have some potential of putting up some absurd numbers. It's just hopefully the goaltending holds up. Hopefully the defense holds up. But the offensively, I feel like right now, as we stand, we have probably one of the best offensive teams we've seen in a very, very long time.
Yeah, it makes me go woo. Sorry, I had to put that graphic up.
And what do you guys am I just blowing smoke right now? Am I just high on the brand right now, or what do you guys feel like? Does everybody agree? Like Facebook, chime in with this. Do you agree? Do you feel like this team has a crazy amount of potential? Do you feel like the sky's the limit right now? Do you feel like that this is going to be the best offensive team we've seen in a long time? I have such a positive feeling about this team, and I can't wait for October 4th. I'm seriously like jumping out of my skin to get the season like underway to see what the potential of this team could be.
Oh, absolutely. And even YouTube Live, I'm watching the chat room right there. I mean, early on, Mecco 271 still thinks Schneider needs to be traded. I don't think so. I don't think so. Not at this point. There's no need to be thinking about, trading Schneider. Mackenzie Blackwood is still young, and Schneider.
That's a good point, Will.
Yeah, and
let's see what they look like after Game 4.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you remember us last season when we had Cangelosi on, and then we were 4-0, and we were all pumped. We were all giddy, and and Steve was all like about this team and this and that. And he was making some great points and this and that, and then it's just like, and then maybe like by end of November it was like,
yeah. And I mean, Tim is saying I see playoff possibility. Gary is I'm so excited. So glad I decided to get season tickets this year. That's a great call. There's going to be a lot of great games this year. Tim says Game 10. Omar says, honestly, Stanley Cup is possible. I agree to that. Michael says that the goose is loose. We definitely agree to that. Joe English says, yep, sky's the limit. Once we add some defensive depth. I don't disagree with that. I feel like they definitely need to do that.
Joe English, I gotta interrupt. Joe English, thank you for sending that graphic. The Taylor Hall, Jack Hughes dynamic duo. As soon as you sent it to me, I was like, you were like, yeah, I had nothing to do today, so I made this amazing graphic, and it's like, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, if you took the time to do that, I'll take the time out of my Saturday and post it for you on Twitter and on Facebook, and it got a lot of great reviews. And wow, the comments are just rolling in.
Yeah,
we are the most commented podcast in the history of New Jersey Devils podcast. Right? So,
Nate Holland saying that he thinks that the top line, if it ends up being Hall, Nico, and Palms, and not Hall, Hughes, and Palms, could have over 150 points between the two of them. I think it means the three of them. Andrew Gilbert says this team is hands down the most offensively talented New Jersey has ever had. And that could definitely be true. If these guys are all up to their potential, that could definitely be true. Let's see. Andrew Gilbert says Zaka, Wood, or McLeod, and a first-round pick for Line. I don't think the Jets are that stupid to do that, but that would be insane too. Although it would be sad to see McLeod go. It's just, we've got a lot of things going on. We got a lot of stuff going on. I'm just ready. And Ramona says, I'm just ready for some hockey. I 100% agree. Tim says the Metro is tough. Michael says Boquist can contend for Rookie of the Year. Man, you see what I'm saying? You see the potential? We are the potential. That should be their slogan now. We are the gosh dang potential.
Gosh dang potential.
As long as we fulfill that potential, then it's fine.
Yeah.
If you don't fulfill that potential, then it's an issue.
Yeah.
Oh, man, good times. Good times had by all. Ryan Mann says, woo!
Well, just to fast forward next week, next Sunday, we have Grant Marshall as our guest. calling in on the Bobby's Auto Care hotline next week. Also, Wednesday, State of the Fan address with Nick Villano and I. Nick was the one that wrote the article about Miles Wood on Pucks and Pitchforks blog. If you haven't seen it yet, go to pucksandpitchforks.com and check it out about Miles Wood.
Says, gosh dang, that will sell. I gotta be PC and I gotta hold my tongue. So I'm like, sometimes I get too excited. And I'm like, don't curse.
Oh, I know. It's so hard to do this podcast. But you know what? You have to really work hard at your craft to keep it family friendly. And, you know,
and if anybody knows me,
they
know it's not easy for me. You can ask my buddy Will Bauman. The time we went to a Yankees game and I couldn't stop cursing. And he's like, dude, there's like a little kid standing right there. I was also 18.
Yeah.
But it becomes quite
Andrew,
an issue.
Andrew, thank you for the compliment, Andrew Gilbert or Gilbert. Living in Florida, I love listening to the podcast. Keep up the great work, gentlemen.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you very much. And also, there was a lot of first-time listeners or watchers, if you want to call it, viewers. Thank you, because you know when we go through these Facebook Lives, I mean, there's so many comments, and we really appreciate getting everyone's opinions and being part of the conversation. We always want to be inclusive. If you're a Devils fan, we could talk hockey, Devils hockey all day long with you, especially our Norwegian contingent, our Australian, New Zealand contingent. We got and UK, like we've got a lot of overseas fans that we didn't even know about. Know about, and they
worldwide.
And they private message us like, please keep doing what you're doing because they're starving for Devils content. And I'm like, okay, all right. And then one person asks, what's going to happen when the Devils? Sorry, go ahead.
Now I was going to say, Ryan Mann just said, I listen to every show from Prince Edward Island, Canada.
Wow.
Be okay with some cursing. I see. We would curse. Trust me. We keep talking about putting on like the after hours show. we keep it family friendly for a reason.
Yeah.
But one day we'll have to talk about this later.
We gotta do a pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view is no holds barred. You understand that every other word I'm going to say is going to be a curse.
Yeah, it's like you gotta go through that disclaimer form before you hit I agree, and then pay us a couple bucks, and we'll do a half an hour. Our after show, the post-production show, is probably better than the podcast in itself, both in real content
you
and the swearing. Yeah.
Omar, you're welcome, buddy. And honestly, too, I know Gary was saying that, will you guys be at the home opener? We will be at the home opener. I would love to come down and take a picture with you guys from the Devil Diehards. Come early. Go to PJ Ryan's. We're going to be doing a live podcast. So anybody that's going to the game, come early. We'll hang out. Maybe we'll... I don't know. We'll take like a huge group photo or something like that in front of PJ Ryan's after the show, right before we go in. We'll all go in together as a huge group.
Yeah, and you know what? Also, we'll go. I'll try to sneak everybody in through the VIP entrance because we are VIPs, right? In my opinion.
I'm a very important person in my own mind.
Yeah.
I mean,
and by the way,
Michael, we don't curse here.
Yeah, and besides, hold your ears, Beer Baron, for 1 second. If we do curse, we have this dump button right here.
Oh God, I hate that
thing. Hey, I warned you.
The worst. That's the worst.
I gotta adjust it. Let me adjust the volume after the podcast, but yeah, because it does hurt my ears too, and I just never get around to adjusting the volume of our dump button. But hey, just before we end the podcast, just in Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Periscope, where are you guys all from? Because I see a lot of Northwest CT. I'm assuming Connecticut. And
you got that right.
Yeah,
Robert.
yeah. in Facebook Live, Twitter Periscope, and YouTube Live. Where are you guys from? I'm just kind of curious because we get private messages, emails, nice emails from folks in Australia and New Zealand, and we also the UK has been strong. Austria, Germany. We're actually global. So I'm just kind of curious for everybody. Lyndhurst, Northampton,
Central Jersey,
Central Jersey. All right, Bridgewater.
Hey,
wow,
Florida. All right.
Originally from Fairlawn. Okay, representing New Jersey Devils fans in Florida. I mean, this is great. This is great.
Delray
and
Beach.
And you know, and the beauty.
All right, hey. Yo, I want to go. I need to take a pilgrimage out to Kentucky one of these days.
Gary, West Orange, but you used to live in Washington, Warren County, where your sponsor is Bobby's Auto Care.
Montreal, all right. Hey, there you go.
Oh, Montreal, all right. What's up, neighbor? Is anybody from Buttsville, New Jersey? I saw Buttsville,
Pennsylvania. Buttsville is in Pennsylvania, right near
near Alpha,
right near Charlottesville. Charlottesville is a real town.
Oh, I thought it was Buttsville, New Jersey.
No, Buttsville is in Pennsylvania.
Oh,
and then I only know that because playing the game Sims as a kid. Now we're starting to go off the rails because it's past 10 o'clock. So playing Sims as the game as a kid, I always used to. Yeah, I am a nerd. Hey, John, what's up, shorts guy? Every town I would make was was named Buttsville. Buttsville is a very popular place.
Well, you know, Pennsylvania and Flyer country, there's like Blue Ball, there's all sorts of fun names out there. Anyway,
said, no, it's not. I thought Buttsville was in Pennsylvania. Well, if you know if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't care.
It's a funny 80. I mean, I was driving to get to Pete's wedding. Which we put something out on social media. The Rangers suck chant during our old goal song. It just came out. You know, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Tim. Is that where you? Anyway. So, all right. Well,
man, some wild times. Got loaded one night in Buttsville.
We should do a podcast from Buttsville, New Jersey.
Woke up the next morning, and there was a gopher in my room. Nobody told me why. Anyways.
Oh, that's funny. All right, I think it's time to pull the
he was
plug.
Wearing a tie. Yeah, it's time. It's time to go.
All right, let's
I
find
know it's not hockey related, but good win by the Giants today.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I'm very happy about that. Daniel Jones, man.
Yeah.
Daniel effing Jones.
Hey, you know what? I love it when quiet leaders that just work hard, shut up, and just let the scoreboard do the talking. Love it. Just absolutely love it. All right, I'm trying to cue up this music, but do we even? Something's wrong. We are in a new studio now, so still some time to adjust. No, I don't even have it. Crap. It probably got deleted along the way when we did the transfer. Let me find an outro music that we can. I wonder if this sound clip works. No, the "Where's the Beef" doesn't work.
God.
I'll have to
end
figure.
Go to a black screen.
Yeah,
have a good night, folks. Boop, and just end it.
All right. let me just find something. Hopefully this
Just
will work.
look at the camera in all sincerity.
Oh, we're going to end with this. This is the only thing I have.
Ladies and gentlemen, this one is for Alex Trebek. Godspeed to him. Hopefully he recovers. This podcast has been a pleasure. I just want to tell you that the Rangers suck and they will forever suck. Here's to a wonderful season and to the Stanley Cup. Have a wonderful night.
Until next time, let's go Devils.